From what I understand from speaking to Ukrainian officials earlier this morning is that late last night there was a video conference of negotiations involving the same parties that had previously been involved in peace talks in the region, which didn't really come to anything. That's the former Ukrainian president, it's separatist representatives, it's the Russian ambassador to Ukraine, and the OSCE. And the understanding is that the rebels have given the go-ahead for international observers to come to the region, for the OSCE and other delegations which will be arriving soon in Ukraine. That's a US delegation and also, of course, Dutch and Malaysian delegations. But the details are rather sketchy for security reasons. We don't know how they will be getting there, what route they will be taking, and so on. It's clearly still on the ground a very difficult situation, especially when you take into account that in recent weeks we've had several cases of OSCE observers in the region being kidnapped by the separatists.
Right, not exactly a very trustworthy situation there. Now, what are Kiev's options at this point?
Well, in terms of dealing with the situation which has gone on for the past few weeks and months in the east of Ukraine, really this event has kind of come out of nowhere and has left everybody a little bit reeling in shock. We've got used to these reports day in, day out of soldiers dead, of attacks on civilian areas and of loss of life in eastern Ukraine. But I don't think anybody expected to see an airliner that had nothing to do with this conflict come down over eastern Ukraine and so many deaths. So I think at the moment what we're seeing is just a little bit of a step back, a pause in horror, and everybody catching their breath. And at this point, it's quite difficult to say what effect this will have on the conflict overall. Hopefully, it will force people to realize just how serious this has got and sit down around the table and work this out. But whether or not that's the case, or whether we see an enforced military solution, or whether we see the rebels digging in further, I think we're just going to have to wait and see. At the moment, as I say, the main sense is one of shock.